This is episode 449 of Wheel Bearings. I am Sam Abuel-Samad from Telemetry.
I am Nicole Wakeland from Test Miles and Top Speed.
And I'm Roberto Baldo from SAE International.
And welcome back, everybody. After last week when you both had some travel challenges.
What a fiasco. I had a red-eye home that I was supposed to be home by 10 o'clock, and I ended up on a red-eye
in the morning
halfway through because they diverted a flight. And it was bumpy, and everyone was sick. It was awesome. It was awesome.
We landed in Chicago, and the twisting of the plane was so it was the most severe, sort of twisting I'd ever had, landing somewhere. That these women, there's these three women that were sitting, next and behind me. They were losing their minds. They were grabbing onto everything. They were kind of, and then once we landed, they were that relief, just created all this, joy and laughing, and it was delightful.
We diverted
almost dying.
We diverted to a tiny what was it? Grand Junction, which is an airport the size of a postage stamp, and I really am convinced that our runway
in Colorado.
Yeah, we were going to Salt Lake.
Oh, okay. I was thinking you were heading back from Minneapolis back to
we were
Boston.
stopping from LA, and we were supposed to go to Salt Lake, and we ended up in Grand Junction. But I don't know what that plane is rated for the required length of a runway and what the actual length of that runway is. I'm convinced there was about a foot beyond the actual requirement because that pilot hit that runway and literally my feet bounced off the floor. I'm like, oh my God. And we stopped on a dime. So, and then we sat there for a couple hours, which was interesting. But it was, and we're laughing.
Couple hours.
I had the best row of people though. I also had this lovely lady named Bobby who was 86.
Bobby.
She was so chill next to me. We had the most lovely conversation. I thought, well, if you're going to get stuck on an airplane in Grand Junction, Bobby wasn't a bad person to be stuck next to.
Yeah, that's yeah. Anyway, travel sucks, and I'll be on a plane at 5 a.m. tomorrow.
7:55. See you in the air.
I'm not on the plane until 2 p.m. tomorrow, heading off.
Yeah,
to
but
Tokyo.
you're going somewhere cool.
Yeah.
Where are you off to, Sam?
Tokyo.
Tokyo, that's right.
Boo.
Oh,
Boo, because I'm not going to Tokyo.
Where are you going, Robert? Where are you going?
Robert? Who the hell's Robert?
I don't know, because it says, I know, Roberto. As soon as I said it, I'm like, that's not right.
I'm going to Georgia. I'm going to the Hyundai Meta plant.
I'm going
you're doing that one?
Yeah, which is cool because I haven't been to the Meta plant. I wasn't able to go
really
the first
cool.
time.
You get
So
you get to watch the spot robot dogs walking around.
Uh-huh.
Well, they showed me that in Singapore.
Well, you get to see them again. It's actually one of the coolest plants I've ever seen. It's really nice. You would think.
Yeah, that's
the light and the openness. I am going to Nashville for Infinity.
Forever,
never coming back.
never coming back from Nashville.
Never coming back.
But one more thing, flying related. One thing that's always interesting to watch on YouTube is videos of planes doing crosswind landings when you got heavy crosswinds, and the planes are basically coming in sideways. Back in the early 90s, in the wintertime, I had to fly up to International Falls, Minnesota, for winter testing, and there was one time, and the flight that we took, we'd fly from Detroit to Minneapolis and then hop on a little Saab 340 that would make 2 or 3 stops, to get to International Falls. So it'd go to Minneapolis to Bemidji.
So it's just like a bus.
Yeah, basically.
A bus with wings.
And one time,
you have to pull a cord while you're in the sky. You're like, ding, ding, that's my stop.
Coming in, there was such a strong crosswind, and this is like a 15, 20 seat, turbo prop, twin turbo prop. So basically everybody's got a window seat. And so I'm looking out the window of this relatively small airplane. And as I'm looking out the window, I realize I'm looking down the runway as we are approaching the runway.
Oh, yeah.
That's not
sideways.
Good. Huh.
Yeah. The plane was probably at about a 60, 70 degree angle to the runway.
Last minute.
Oof.
Yeah, this was the issue in Chicago with the flight. It was just you're coming in at this weird angle until the very last minute when the air isn't quite as bad because you have the ground sort of buffering. So you just, and then you just smack the ground.
We almost landed but didn't. So we were coming in and it was so bumpy and all of a sudden it was whoop,
that was in Salt Lake or in Grand Junction?
That was in Salt Lake. We couldn't land. We were supposed to land in Salt Lake and couldn't. And then he even said, we've been circling for like an hour. We're going to run out of fuel. So we're going to make one more pass. And if not, we're going to Grand Junction. I'm like, way to comfort the plane, buddy. And then we didn't land. And as soon as we didn't land, it was funny. You could tell who was really used to flying, because there were a whole bunch of people that were still sort of hanging on. Like, well, they're also doing like, okay, so we're landing. We're like, no, we're going up again. Are you sure we are going up? We are not landing in Salt Lake. And the people that were panicking, oh my God, what's going to happen? Said the frequent flyers like, nah.
What are you going to do? I'm glad that we made flying a terrifying experience for everyone listening today.
Exactly.
This
Enjoy
is
your
our
next
lives.
flight, guys.
It sounds
Enjoy your next
our
flight.
lives sound glorious and fun, but most of the time we're just like, well, maybe we're gonna die on a plane.
Could be
You know
today.
what? You might die on any given day, out walking your dog or going to the grocery store, So I mean, it's just another. We're all going to die eventually.
Basically, welcome to Wheel Bearings, where we remind you all the horrible ways you could die in your day to day.
No one lives forever. Welcome to Will Bearings Podcast.
No, that just means that you got to live every day for as if it's the last, because you never know.
Buy the car you want, because you never know. Okay, that's
exactly. Enjoy
take it to the limit.
Enjoy your life.
Enjoy your life.
Don't live in fear.
Don't live in.
Yeah, what are you gonna do?
Okay.
Speaking of which, Nicole, what have you been driving?
Yes. Well, I missed a week, so we'll start with the car that I had last week. Which, if ever there was a car that caught flack on social media when I posted about this, man, this poor thing, there was a lot of hate for this, and I couldn't decide if it was EV hate. Well, it was actually EV hate and Chevy hate. Very weird. The Chevy Equinox EV.
Why would that catch flack on social media?
Everyone was hating on it. People were I just put up the normal videos I do. Like, hey, here's the inside. Here's how it looks. Here's what's on the
I saw
outside.
Those.
Right. No, they were like, I got emails or messages, like DMs. This is such a bullshit car. I don't even know why I swore in the show. I don't even know why they have you driving this. This is terrible. Blah, 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 blah. Chevys are garbage. Blah, blah, blah. EVs are garbage. Blah, blah, blah. Loser, why'd you buy that? And I'm like, I didn't, but okay.
Sounds
people
like
didn't.
some sort of weird bot thing.
They were real people. I'm pretty sure they were real people, but it was very strange. Like, I'm used to not getting a response.
You don't understand. There are no real people on the internet anymore. It's just us and bots.
It's just us and bots.
The three of us and bots. So I have the Equinox EV, which I actually enjoyed driving. It has 315 miles-ish of range, depending on the trim that you're getting. There's a really big, 17.7 touchscreen. You have a digital instrument cluster. There's the LT1, which starts at $34,995. There's the RS, which is $44,095. So it's reasonably priced. This is nice. So it's crossover SUV-ish sized. It has I really like the interior of this, because mine was this really bright blue and it had a white roof. Inside it sort of had this bluish trim. It looks very purple in the videos. It's more like a sort of an iridescent kind of blue that's bits of it on the dashboard, bits of it on the doors, bits of it on the center console. So it looks really good. I think my biggest criticism of Chevys is normally that the interiors can look kind of cheap. This one didn't. I thought the interior of this actually looked good. So kudos to Chevy for that. I thought they deserved that little, go Chevy. So if you have the front-wheel drive, it's 220 horsepower, 243 pound-feet of torque. The all-wheel drive, which is what I had, was 300 horsepower and 335 pound-feet of torque. So it's a little bit more oomph. It, in many ways drives like an EV. You mash I wouldn't call it gas anyway. Accelerator sounds so pompous.
Go pedal.
Mash the go pedal. And it goes. It's very responsive. It was nice to drive. It had a nice ride, even taking it back and forth to Boston. It was not too bumpy. It was, because this is the worst season, I'm sure, like it is in Michigan right now, Sam. The potholes are the size of canyons, and they could swallow your entire car if you're not careful. I hit a couple of them. Sorry, Chevy. The car is still fine. It still manages it really well. You feel it because you're nailing a pothole, but it's still well-mannered and easy to drive, which matters. There's cargo room, 57.2 cubic feet if you fold the second row. That's plenty of cargo room. And if you have those rear seats up, there's still enough room. You could put a family's bags back there easily, 4 suitcases, 4 roller bags, some random stuff. So I like the Equinox EV overall. I think it's EVs are getting a bad rap at the moment. A lot of people are sort of anti-EV-ish. I am not. I like this one. I would buy this one. I thought it was nice. I think it's a good price. I think you're getting a decent value for what you're getting. 300 miles of range. I feel like it's 315, give or take. That's more than enough. Like, that's enough. You don't road trip every single day of your life. You road trip a couple of times a year, if that. You're not probably...
Some people.
Like, if you're a
couple.
sales guy, maybe you're driving 300 miles in a day if you're, covering a territory or something. Most people are not driving 315 miles in a day. Maybe in a week? I don't even know. Depends on the person. So
36 or 38 is the average
38.
miles.
So what's the math,
Yeah.
Sam? Do it real quick before I break out a calculator.
The average person.
Times 7 is 196?
Wait, you two were talking over each other. What was the question? You said, I heard you say, what was the math? And I didn't hear what the
38.
The numbers were?
Yeah, 38 miles a day, 7 days, 266 miles a week then is the average person
Yeah,
driving?
you can charge once a week and you'd be good.
Once a week is all you need
In
to
the winter,
charge.
maybe
So-
twice.
Right, because your range will come down. So cool your jets about freaking out about the range. You can charge this in your driveway all the time.
Cool your jets.
Cool your jets, people. So it's got plenty of range. I know there's vehicles out there with more range, but you don't really need that. How many times do you road trip? How many times do you really drive more than 315 miles in a single adventure? Not very often. So I don't really worry about that. I know range anxiety still technically is a thing, but I feel like it's sort of a weird thing because vehicles do well enough that you can just charge them at home. You don't need
Just
to
go
worry.
places.
And you know what? There's a lot more public charging out there now than there was 6 months ago, a year ago, 2 years ago, and it's getting more reliable too.
It's continually increasing the number of places where you can charge. Even some of the charging stations near me where there were, say, 2 chargers at it, or maybe 4, they have actually gotten a little bit bigger. The 2s are now 4s, the 4s are now 6s. So they've upgraded some of the ones that are there. So it's getting it easier and easier to charge an electric vehicle. So that just doesn't.
It's being anti-EVs when people were anti-cell phone. Remember when people had cell phones and some people didn't? They're like, oh, look at that person with their cell phone. We all have cell phones now.
Exactly.
You know,
You all have them now.
and you know what's great to have when gas is $4, $5, $6 a gallon? An EV.
Yeah.
What are gas prices? So what are gas prices by you right now, Sam?
Generally around $3.90 to $4 a gallon for regular.
And what
About
about you, Robbie?
$6.
You're in California, $6.
Yeah, about
And in
like
New Hampshire,
$5.80 to $6.20.
our
is-
cheapest
I
gas
looked at it
station-
because I still have the BRZ, and when I go to the airport, that's what I drive. And because I've had a bunch of shows, I had a big show with my band, and I had to do a bunch of stuff. I've been driving the BRZ more recently, which means I'm like, oh, this sucks.
It's
I'm driving the
$3.84
BRZ on
for
the
me.
highway, which is like,
Yeah.
okay, it's fine. No matter how fast or where you are in that car, you're having fun. But I'm like, I wish we had a second EV.
Yeah,
Right.
see, there you go.
Right now, according to the Alternative Fuels Data Center, across the U.S. and Canada, there are 17,585 DC fast charging locations with 79,739 charging ports.
Mm-hmm.
That's a lot.
So basically, you can find a place to charge your car. That's what we're saying.
I mean, I've road tripped our Ioniq 5 a bunch of times.
Yeah. So I like the Ioniq. I mean, I like the Ioniq. I like the Ioniq. I like the Equinox. Both. It's still a true statement, just completely irrelevant.
Okay.
So I do like the Equinox. It's something that I would consider buying if I was looking at an EV right now. I think the interior is nice, the ride is nice, the range is plenty, it's comfortable. I like the style of it inside and out. So thumbs up for the Equinox EV.
And there's a lot of room in the back seat too. It's shockingly roomy.
It is a surprisingly roomy car. So I push I always look to see when Russ sits in the front seat because he's 6'3", how much room is left in the back. Like, could you fit Russ behind Russ? And I think you could. I looked at it. It wouldn't be a huge amount of room for someone that tall, but you could. I mean, it's not one of those where once you push the seat back, you literally can't sit back there. Because a surprising number of cars, if there's someone 6 feet plus in the front, you can't use that back seat unless you sit with your knees sort of like sideways around the seat.
Or you just lay down on the seat.
Because we're comfy. So this is a room car. So thumbs up for the Equinox EV. That's what I had last week, and it was nice.
Okay, so before you continue to the next one, you mentioned that you would consider buying this. There's one thing that you did not bring up in all your discussion of this. Is the fact that this is one of the GM EVs that does not have support for smartphone projection. So that means no CarPlay, no Android Auto. Does that impact your feelings about whether or not to that you would consider buying something like this?
So, I like having Apple CarPlay and Android Auto in a car. I don't know, honestly, if it'd be a deal breaker for me for the right car. I like having my Apple.
You got to have a
CarPlay.
really good car. That's the thing.
The right car. The right car.
Yeah.
There was a time when I felt like everything that natively that the OEMs had was so horrible. You just didn't want to use it. But I feel like they're not on par, but they're still decent. So for the right car, I would give that up. For the right car, I would say it's okay. Yeah.
Currently, the only infotainment system that I think works without having to use CarPlay is Mercedes MBOS. Or MBUX, sorry. MBOS is the platform. MBUX, MBUX. That's the only one. Just because it's like, here's a giant map, here's a couple widgets, that's it. I'm like, oh, this is exactly what I want in my car. I just want to see a few things. I just want it to be able to drive.
And it does have, so the thing with the Equinox too, it has Google built in. So you can do the, hey Google, take me to my favorite ice cream place, whatever. And I really like the Google Assistant and the Google Voice. I like being able to say that. I feel like it's really good at hearing you. It's really good at interpreting you. So if I can't have my Apple CarPlay, Google built in, I like it.
And it does pretty good route planning now.
Mm-hmm.
And the other thing you can do is, because you're using Google Maps. If you've got Google Maps on your phone, either Android or Apple, you can do your route. You can have the vehicle tied to your Google account. You can set it up in your Google account. You can do your route on your phone or on your computer, and then just send it to the car.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're planning a long trip, you can just figure everything out beforehand. Or you can make it up as you go along.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So that wouldn't be a deal breaker for me.
Okay.
For the right car.
For the right car.
For the right car.
Yes.
All right. Cool.
Okay,
Carry on.
I'm officially closing the Equinox screen I have open on with my Equinox. Click. Okay.
Do you want to do destination charges on that one?
Yeah, and I looked at it before you did that. Go
16.
ahead. Sam?
I think it's $16.95, but I could be wrong.
My notes say 18. I didn't
Gosh.
I didn't have a
They raised it.
Monroney, so that was what my Google Foo showed. It could be wrong by the time we've done that.
For that much,
it should have a couple weeks ago.
It should have Apple CarPlay. You're gonna charge me that much?
Now it's a deal breaker for Roberto. He's like, I'm done.
If you're gonna charge me almost $2,000 for destination, I should be.
Well, to be fair, to give Jim a little bit of credit for one thing, when they advertise prices, like when you like right now, I just pulled up Chevy.com.
Yeah, GM does say like, "Hey, we built it."
The price that they show right off the top includes the destination charge. So the 2026 Equinox EV, it says from $36,795, and that's including the destination charge. Mm-hmm. So they don't show you an MSRP and then way down at the end of the process tell you which is really
nice. Like you can, which I think is really, because if you're looking, you build the whole darn thing, and then you think you know where you are, and you get to the end, and there's a lovely surprise of wait, I was being so careful, and now there's an extra $2,000 on there that I didn't know was going to happen. Dang it, that's just not cool. This one, now I'm looking at. Oh, this is a 25.
It does say it says 1,800 right now.
Okay.
Destination.
So you won, Sam.
Okay, that's what I was looking. Okay. So yeah, high destination, but at least it's in there, so you're not surprised. They're being really upfront about that, which I appreciate.
But I mean, that's still $200 less than the destination now on a Mach-E.
Mm-hmm.
Mach-E is $19.95 now, I think.
Is it really?
Yeah.
Oof.
All right.
Wow.
Oof.
Let that soak in for a second, everybody.
Oof.
So are you ready to hear about the second car that I had, which was actually this week? It was 2 weeks. So
Yeah.
This week, I had the 2026 Honda Pilot all-wheel drive Elite. So that sits kind of elite.
Special.
The only one cooler than that is I think there's a black edition. I think that comes, and actually the pricing didn't come up when I was trying to find it, but there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, technically 7 trims of this. They're all standard all-wheel drive. The base sport starts at $44,295. My Elite comes in at $53,495. So there's about a $10,000 price spread between them. And I cannot read the destination on this. It's very blurry. I actually have a Monroney, but the print is terrible. Like the printer screwed up.
So your local fleet, they get you either way. If they either don't give you a Monroney or they give you one that's a really bad copy that you can't actually read anyway.
That you can't actually read. So I should probably look it up, or like for realsies. Wait, let's see if. Wait, I think it's $14.95. I can't tell because it's blurred. Okay, I know what number I'm going with, but I'm just gonna say it. I think it's $14.95. I think it's $14.95. Like it's so like parts of it are blurry, parts of it aren't. And when I went to look, I'm like, shit, that's one of the blurry parts. So because it's like it got squinched in the printer. Yeah, So anyway, so you're looking at about for this one about $53,000 when all is said and done. So it's like got a light refresh this year. It's nothing like dramatically different. There's now a standard 12.3 inch touchscreen. You get a 10.2 inch digital instrument cluster. You do get wireless Apple CarPlay and Android Auto along with Google built in, which is cool.
Cool.
There's like new colors. Also, I decided I love 360-degree cameras, the ones that show you all the way around the car. I think those are the best thing ever. I would pay for that as an upgrade anytime it's something because it makes it so easy when you're in a tight spot. Or when someone parks really, really close to you and you're trying to back out in an area and you think, as I'm backing out, I'm going to clip that guy's bumper as I make this turn. It's just so nice, that little extra view.
A little extra something.
I love that little extra something. Yeah, and if I was someone who drove in cities all the time, especially, I would absolutely have that in my car so I could see what was going on. So I really like that. There is a 3.5-liter V6, 285 horsepower, 262 pound-feet, 10-speed automatic. You get a bunch of drive modes, including snow mode, which thankfully I'm not going to get to try again until let's hope December. Because the snow is still melting. Hopefully. And we haven't had any snow in a week, so I'm going to call it done.
Is it raining there?
Well, you just doomed yourself.
But it's the middle of April. I'm normally pretty close by mid-April.
Are you guys having a lot of flooding there?
We're not having a lot of flooding, but we are. Yeah, you guys are having serious flooding. We're just having a lot of rain, but nothing that's caused any flooding just yet. So thankfully, that's not an issue. You can tow 5,000 pounds on the all-wheel drive model, so you can tow a good bunch. There's the ground clearance. They have a Trail Sport in this. Trail Sport gets an extra inch, so it's 7.3 in the regular one, 8.3 on the Trail Sport. So if you want to do a little off-roading, it's not an off-road vehicle, but you can go up to the cabin, do your thing.
It's good for 95% of what you're going to do.
Exactly.
Yes.
For what most people are going to do, you're just fine with it.
If you're not going to Moab or
you're fine.
Rubicon,
you're fine.
You could probably do it in a Camry, to be honest, but go on.
Yeah.
So
in most cases, yes.
Mm-hmm. So you get 3 rows of seating. You're going to get either 7 or 8 passengers, so it depends. There's captain's chairs that take it down to 7, or you have seating for 8. It's actually really roomy, and as I'm saying this, I just realized last night's leftovers are still sitting in the second row of the Honda Pilot. God damn it.
I hate it when that happens.
I just realized it as I'm talking.
I hate it when... It's like we either walk out and leave it sitting on the table,
yes,
or else leave it sitting in the back seat. And it's like, oh man,
we were so bad
wanted to have leftovers.
There were barbecued chicken wings in there.
Oh yeah, you're gonna die if you eat those.
I'm not eating them. Barbecued chicken wings. I think there was a bit of a German pretzel, and man.
You could probably eat the pretzel.
Yeah, you're fine with the pretzel.
Stick it in the microwave for 10 seconds.
I know it's
chicken wings.
The chicken wings are gone. I was going to have those for lunch today. Okay, Nicole's problems. Dang it. As soon as I said Rose, I was like, our row has chicken wings in it. There's, you have a good amount of space in here. So you get up to 113.7 cubic feet, fold everything down. So you get a good amount of space. This is a pretty roomy vehicle. And it's nice to drive. So what I like about this is sometimes you get the larger SUVs, the 3 rows, they get a little unwieldy. They feel like just heavy, and it's not even underpowered. It's just the way they're balanced. You suddenly feel like you're driving a 3-row. This doesn't feel like it. It actually drives really nicely. It still has plenty of power. If you mash on the go pedal, as we've called it now, the go pedal makes it go. It is perfectly fine and responsive driving on the highway. This did a fabulous job of soaking up all the rough pavement that we have. It was better than the Equinox. It's quieter overall. It's just smoother. You know, you know when I hit a pothole in the Equinox, you suspected I hit one when I was in the Pilot. That's the difference. So you still
Like,
know.
I know I
it's
saw
just,
one.
right.
Felt just a little thump.
Right. Like, did I actually steer out of the way? I may have caught. Yeah, where in the Equinox you knew. So I really like driving, and that's what you kind of want in a 3-row. You've got family, presumably you have kids, and keeping those kids comfortable and asleep once they fall asleep is important, especially if you're road tripping. You don't want to have your kids waking up just because you went over a bump or because the pavement changed on the highway or because you had to slam on the brakes or whatever. So I genuinely like the Pilot. I generally like Hondas. I feel like they're solid vehicles. I feel like their pricing is sometimes a little on the high side. Like for this though, the Elite $53,495. The interior is comfortable. I mean, it doesn't feel overpriced to me. It feels really reasonable. And for fuel economy on this, because we were talking about things, it is rated 19 city, 25 highway, 21 combined. Not bad for a 3-row. I mean, think what they were rated 5-10 years ago, right? What the numbers would have been. They are getting better. So you don't have to assume that every 3-row gas vehicle is going to be a gas guzzler. You can still budget for your family's road trip and, you know, not go broke, even with gas prices where they were, like we talked about earlier. So I do like this. I think it's a good vehicle. I think it's comfortable. I think it does exactly what you want a family vehicle to do. And Honda has a good reputation and their reliability is good. So your worries about being stuck on the side of the road on a road trip are minimal. Could always happen, but I feel like buying a Honda reduces the chances of that likelihood. So overall, I really enjoy driving this, and I recommend the Pilot for anybody who needs those 3 rows for the kiddos.
Excellent. All right. Well, I had one of my all-time favorite cars, of course, and it came just as the weather got really nice here in Michigan. We got some nice warm weather, so I was able to drop the top and drive around in a Miata that wasn't mine. I did spend time driving mine. I did spend time with mine, but I had a car that's actually been in the press fleet for a little while, but just finally made it around to me. This was actually a 2025 Mazda Miata MX-5, a 35th anniversary edition. So you cannot actually buy one of these new anymore. Because it's a 25 model. And what made the 35th anniversary special distinct from other Miatas is the color and trim combination. Otherwise, mechanically it's the same as every other Miata. But the 35th anniversary special is finished in the artisan red metallic, which is that deeper burgundy red that they introduced on the CX-90 a couple of years ago. So obviously, Soul Crystal Red is still the best one, but this is a very nice color. And it's a tri-coat. So they do 3 base coats of the color, and then clear coat it. And it, especially in the sun, it looks fabulous. It's a darker red, so when it's overcast or a little darker, it's not as noticeable. The color's not as noticeable, but in the sun, it really pops and it looks fantastic. So you have the artisan red metallic, and then tan Napa leather interior, and and also the top. So the tan top against the dark red paint is a great combination. Like all current Miatas, it's got a 2-liter naturally aspirated 4-cylinder, 181 horsepower, 151 pounds-feet of torque, which for a car that weighs barely over 2,200 pounds, perfectly adequate. It's not going to win drag races against Corvettes or Mustangs, but it doesn't have to, because it's going to get around corners faster than most of them anyway. It's the 17-inch wheels, 17-inch alloy wheels on this one. They're a silver finish on there. It's looks like a 10, 12, like a 8 double spokes, so 8 thin double spokes and looks really sharp. And it's funny, driving this back to back with mine, the original, the 1990 model. Again, the performance is a little bit better with this one. It's got more power. Only weighs about less than 100 pounds more than mine. But the overall characteristics, it still feels very much like a Miata. Very nimble. It goes exactly where you point it. But in the modern Miatas, the belt line is a lot higher. Like in mine, when I sit in it, the belt line comes up to below my shoulder, and I almost feel like I'm sitting on it rather than in it. You feel much more exposed in an old Miata, and the doors are thinner than on the old ones. Even though overall dimensions on the current generation, the fourth generation, are very similar to the first one, you feel a lot more enclosed in it, which from a safety perspective is probably a good thing. It certainly feels a lot more solid. Mine feels more delicate in a lot of ways, but they're both equally a blast to drive. And on the interior, in addition to the tan covering on the doors, on the dashboard, and on the seats, there's a panel across the top of the doors that stretches from the dashboard across the top of the doors that is in the same artisan red coloring. So it matches the exterior. The steering wheel, not the steering wheel, the shift knob is covered in black leather, stitched, kind of almost like a baseball contrast stitching on there. My only complaint about the interior of the Miata is the cup holders, which, to be honest, driving this car, you're probably not going to use the cup holders much anyway. But where the cup holders are placed is they're mounted off the rear bulkhead between the seats. So if you pull your arm way back, you will hit them with your elbow. But that's a minor thing. I can live with that. I could easily live with one of these cars as a daily driver. It's just so much fun to drive. Of course, there's always that caveat. It's so much fun to drive if you fit it. If it fits you, you're golden. If it doesn't, then you're out of luck. Then you got to go get a BRZ.
This
Do
is
I
the
fit?
first generation
No,
Miata
Roberto.
that I actually fit in.
Really?
You fit in? Yeah.
I don't fit in the A and B and C, none of those. There's a lot of different reasons. One of the main ones is when the top is up, one of the crossbars is right where my head is. And so my head is resting like a centimeter below it. So every bump, just like the whole time I'm just getting smacked in the head. Oof. So with the NDs going, they've sort of moved it, and I actually fit in it. I will say that when I had an ND like a year ago, when I got back into my BRZ felt like a Ford Excursion. There's just so much more room. So it is still tight, but I do fit in it. Like it is.
What about in the RF? Do you fit in the RF?
No, I don't. I don't even bother trying RFs. I tried like the NC RF, and they were like, no, like that's not a thing. So I haven't even tried the ND RF. It's not even. And then what's the point? Why were you getting a Miata?
Exactly. Absolutely. The whole point of having a Miata is to put the top down. And the great thing about having a Miata, it doesn't matter if you have a 360-degree camera view. You don't need it because you just look around. You can see everything. You have 360-degree vision all the time. It's perfect. So as long as you fit, as long as you're not so tall that you can't fit, and to be fair, there's plenty of people that do not fit the Miata, but if it fits you, it's absolutely a great time.
Yeah, it's like having the same height as, say, like Russ. Like I'm 6'3", he's 6'3". Mm-hmm. I have another. Like it doesn't mean that it automatically excludes us from fitting in certain cars, because some of us are like, I have really long legs and really long arms, so that sort of like kind of messes with like how I.
It depends on your proportions.
Yeah, so your proportions aren't we're not all like proportioned exactly the same based on our height.
So the great thing about the Miata, still even in 2026, yeah, it's obviously more expensive than it was when it was new, or when when it first came out. Like my car was $13,000 when it first came out, but when you run that through an inflation calculator, actually not a whole lot different today, because the 2026 Miata starts at $30,430, which I think the original price. Let's see, that 13,000 in 1990, I should say. Let's see, $13,000 in 1990 equates to $33,695. And so the current gen Miata, the base sport model starts at $30,430. The mid-level club starts at $33,930. So it's basically just slightly. It's about the same price as it was 35 years ago, and even the loaded Grand Touring.
You just don't get paid as much as you did 35 years ago.
That's true. Proportionally, yes.
Yeah, you're proportionally
$35,730. Yeah, the 35th anniversary model, grand total came to $37,435. Guesses on the destination charge?
16.
I'll go $17.95.
Robbie gets it, but you're both way over. It was $1,185.
Wow.
That doesn't weigh anything. We should have known better.
Yeah, it's small.
Yep.
Yeah.
They just shove it in the back of an F-150 and then take it.
Pretty much, yeah.
Like
at least a Super Duty. All right. So let's carry on. So first up, let's talk about Mercedes-Benz.
Let's talk about Mercedes-Benz.
Yeah.
They're busy beavers over there at Mercedes-Benz recently.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
I guess that's the throw to me, huh?
Yeah.
So I went to Tuscaloosa.
Real professionals here.
I was going to say Tallahassee. I went to Tuscaloosa to look at the new GLE, the new GLS, the GLE hybrid. I talked to Ola. I talked to the new CTO, whose name I've immediately forgotten already. I know the old CTO was Marcus. But yeah, so this was very much a gas vehicle event. They also had factory tours. I didn't have time to do that, unfortunately. Boo-hoo me. I did get to go off-roading, though, in the GLE. I didn't get to drive, but it was really impressive how well this thing handled doing some really weird, crazy off-roading that, again, no one's ever going to do in a GLE. I mean, they wouldn't even do it in a G-Wagon, to be honest, and the G-Wagon could, deal with this no problem. That said, the new what Mercedes has been doing recently is essentially just sort of revamping their motors for these vehicles, which is quite impressive. This one has a new camshaft and just a bunch of cool new stuff. The GLE is available in a bunch of different flavors. I think the most exciting is probably the GLE 500E. All of the ones we're getting in the United States are all-wheel drive, so they're all 4MATIC. So the GLE-E is their plug-in hybrid, and it will do probably... Okay, so there's a lot of confusion on the range for this when they had the event. The person who was giving us the presentation was from Europe. They were giving us numbers based on the Europe thing, but they were saying miles instead of kilometers. They're surrounded by a bunch of journalists. We're unnerving people to be around. Because they're quite annoying. We ask a lot of really hard questions at inopportune times. And finally, after I looked it up, this vehicle, based on the WLTP number that they gave us with kilometers, they didn't give it to us. They gave us the wrong number. But based on the official number that they have in the press release, it's likely this thing's probably going to do about 40 to 50 miles of range. For electric only, which is pretty nice. You're going to get a Mercedes. You're going to be able to drive a long way, which, we talked about 36 or 38 was the average driving distance of the average person in their average life. That means that you're never going to use gas. or you're very rarely going to use gas if you plug in your vehicle at night. It has a 3-liter inline 6, 43 horsepower, 443 pound-feet of torque. Let me double check. No, wait, it's totally different. Sorry, it's 429 horsepower, 502 pound-feet of torque. That was just the motor itself, which is the M256M Evo. Again, this is one of their updated motors. They did the same thing with the CLA, the hybrid. That's an updated motor. It's on a Miller cycle. These are different. It has a new cylinder head, improved intake, exhaust, ports, a new camshaft I already talked about. It's higher revving. They've extended the torque curve. It's got turbo. It's just they've done a lot to these motors, these gas motors, in order to increase like power and efficiency. Because I did an interview with Ola talking about electrification and their sales guy, who's a name I also forget, but they are, I think when you see places like Ford, who's pulling back, but then you see GM and Hyundai, and they continue to push forward. Mercedes is in the same bucket as GM, Hyundai. They're going to continue to push forward with electrification. Well, if we're playing a game, and then we have suddenly we get kind of pushed back a little bit. You don't just stop playing the game. Like, you want to do the long term. You're thinking long term. So
just because you fumbled once doesn't mean you walk off the field.
And to be honest, they didn't really. I think they fumbled, and they talked about this. I think their biggest issue was the EQ lineup initially. It didn't look like a Mercedes, and they were very forthcoming, and like, people want a Mercedes to look like a Mercedes regardless of the powertrain, and that's where we're delivering going forward. People don't want like a sort of like when you design a car 5 years before it comes out, you don't know if people are going to like it. You're just hoping. You're like, okay, well, the zeitgeist is this, we're seeing this, let's design this car, and it looks cool to us, 5 years before anyone else sees it, and then it comes out, and suddenly it just doesn't look cool. It's like whatever flavor, whatever, excitement that might have been 5-6 years ago within the company is gone by the time it comes to the market, because, people have, design aesthetics just change all the time. Like, what we thought was cool in the 90s, what we thought, if you're just looking at fashion is a great way to sort of understand.
For some reason, people thought that putting vent controls in the touchscreen interface was cool, but they were wrong.
Seemed like a good idea.
It seemed like, this is
No, it
cool.
was never a good idea.
Yeah, people are going to love this. It's going to be great. Or people are going to be so excited. No. So what is interesting about this vehicle is it's going to have a CCS. It's not going to have NACS. And it'll charge AC at 9.6 kilowatts, which, okay, yeah, it's plug-in hybrid. But it'll charge at 60 kilowatts DC fast charging, which is...
On the plug-in hybrid?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. I know. Crazy. So, you can go to pretty much everything but a Tesla station at this point. And if you're, shopping, like all the...
So if you plug in one of these GLE plug-in hybrids on a CCS station, you can top it up in probably about 15-20 minutes?
If that. Run. You got to run into the store. So I think of the vehicles, they also have an AMG version. I didn't get to drive any of these vehicles. They're not drivable yet. These are all like, this is an unveiling. The GLS looks really nice. All of them have physical, what do you call them? Vents. They all have physical vents. So there's no concern about that. They do all still have the passenger side screen, which again, I've talked to them about it. I've talked to regular people. I think we've talked about it. The average... In the United States, we don't seem to care about those screens.
Well, it's funny. The one vehicle I've been in that had a passenger screen that my wife actually liked using was in the EQS SUV.
All right.
Yeah, because she was able to go in there and mess around with the audio and the navigation.
You can do everything
without
in the Mercedes
leaning
screen.
over. Yeah.
Yeah. Whereas some of them are very, like, you can only do these certain things. You could pretty much just run the whole car. You can adjust, like, where you're going, what you're doing, etc. The audio, the media, anything you want to do, you can do it. And you can watch videos, which all of them have that. That's it. It's like, again, these screens are very much a play for Asia, especially China, where this is what people want. They're building global cars. If you're an automaker right now, especially right now, because automotive sales have been down. I know when people are like, "Oh no, they're selling less EVs." I'm like, if you look at the whole market, everyone and everything is down. So, if you're building a global car, it makes more sense just to put all the things in it for everyone versus trying to sort of piecemeal. Well, this market gets this market gets this, especially when you're doing.
It makes it a lot
big,
more expensive when you have to do a whole bunch of different variations. So, you try and get something that's going to be usable everywhere.
Yeah, I think an Audi was really smart with the new A5, where they've gotten rid of like the 4 engine choices.
Yeah.
And they're like, we have one engine. It's the best one. You're like, oh, okay, cool. That's fine. Like, there was no real, I can understand, like, oh, I want to, you want to upsell to the higher engine, but now you're just like, you know what? Let's just essentially one engine SKU that we put in all the cars, as opposed to having inventory for 4 different types of engine. Mercedes, like BMW before it, is looking at their manufacturing as, we're going to be able to build a gas, a hybrid, and an EV, all with the same car, all in the same line. Just sort of consolidating and being a little bit smarter about how you build these vehicles. Yeah, I think, how many cars they show? So there's 4 GLEs. How many GLSs are there? There's 2 GLSs. The GLE, you got a 350, which is the only one. It's got an inline 4. The 450 and the 500E both have the same engine. Those are inline 6s. And then the 580, which is, the GLA, it's got a V8. For the GLS, you got an inline 6. The 450 is an inline 6. And, of course, the GLS 580 is a 4-liter V8. So, you're... For the GLE, you got 3 different engine choices. One of the engines also is part of a hybrid system. And so, yeah, you're the GLS is the same. You get 2 engine choices, but yeah, it's the same. The inline 6 is the same. Both of them were comfortable to sit in. They look nice. They look like Mercedes. I think the GLE is more exciting, just because that's just me. At the end of the day, if you need a lot of room, you get the GLS. If you got kids, I guess, fancy children, you get the 3-row GLS. If you just have regular children, get the GLE or a Pilot.
Or it depends how many children you have.
That's true. Or So yeah, no, I think it's very interesting to talk to Mercedes about their powertrains, because they do, they are like making fundamental changes to these motors. With the latest generation of vehicles, and they are still like, yes, we have gas vehicles, but we are still very much an EV company, and so it'll be interesting to see where they are in a couple years. But even they were like, 5 years ago, everyone thought we were going to sell more EVs than we did, which I think everyone was following Ford's lead, who was following the Cybertruck's lead, so it was all sort of like, whoops. So it's, but again, you're paying a lot of money for a Mercedes. You still get some buttons. They put the rockers on the steering wheel, back on the steering wheels, and you get physical controls for the vents. So that right there is worth however much these vehicles will cost when they come to market, which will be by the end of this year, I believe.
Cool. All right, there was another bit of news that came out from Mercedes in the last couple of weeks as well, which was around the new steering system on the EQS. So they've got a revamped version of the EQS coming. It still has the same basic shape. The photos that they released, it's wrapped in camo, but it looks like they're making especially the front end look a little slightly more traditional Mercedes, even though the grille has no real airflow through it. And one thing about all these, the GLE and the new EQS and the GLS, they're all adopting these similar signature headlights, that started on the CLA, where you've got the Mercedes 3-pointed star lit as your running lamps in the light clusters. But on the EQS, they're not showing the whole car yet, but they showed off the new steer-by-wire system that's on there, and like the one on the Cybertruck, it's complete. There's no mechanical connection between the steering yoke, and yes, there's a yoke now, no steering wheel, and the wheels, but it's got they limit the total lock-to-lock steering angle to about 170 degrees, so it's just short of going to 90 degrees in either direction of steering of angle from the yoke, and it's going to be interesting to try this out. I mean, I've tried this stuff out on a couple of demo vehicles from suppliers over the last few years, and it's it's fascinating to try it. I haven't had a chance to spend time with anything on the road that has a full steer-by-wire system like this, because I never drove a Cybertruck. But I don't know. I'm not crazy about the yoke, but if it only turns 170 degrees from one end to the other, you're never going to go hand over hand with the thing, so it doesn't really matter. And getting rid of the top half of the steering wheel means that you get better visibility of your instrument cluster, but it's also going to potentially pose a problem in China. They may not be able to use this in China because we talked a few weeks back about the regulation changes in China because of the way they do the crash testing for the steering wheels. It's specifically looking at the impact on the top part of the steering wheel itself. And if there's no top part, then they can't test it and it fails the way the regulations are written. Maybe the Chinese will change that regulation. I don't know. Or maybe Mercedes will just put a standard steering wheel in the cars for the Chinese market.
I mean, I'm fine with steer by wire. I know it's even more sort of removed from the road, which I'm not a fan of for me personally. But I think most people aren't driving like I drive, to be honest. And I think people who are driving any sort of luxury vehicle, they're fine with something like this, unless it's like an AMG or something like that. I just don't. The yoke just like sort of like it just reminds me like in the 80s we all watched Knight Rider. We're like, oh, that's cool. And then after that we're like, oh, you remember in the 90s when late 80s, early 90s, like every concept car had a joystick.
Yeah.
Yep. Remember that was the cool, like we were all gonna drive with joysticks, and now they're like, no, that's not. Maybe not. About those lights, I forgot the new lighting system as 50%. It has a larger light field, so you're getting more of a spread with these new lights on all these vehicles, and they're using 50% less energy. So it's a bunch of little teeny tiny LEDs. So it's pretty. So that's kind of cool that they're thinking about how much energy they're using, especially when you're looking at vehicles that at some point they want them to have level 3 and level 4, which means that computing is going to suck up a lot of power.
Yeah. So they need to reduce power consumption wherever they can.
Yeah. But the flatter steering wheel, I don't know. Just give us a regular steering wheel. Make it an option. That's my only thing. I'm like, If someone wants to drive with this weird thing, it looks like a butterfly. Cool. That's their. But I would, give me the option of just having a steering wheel because I like a steering wheel.
I mean, Tesla did eventually go back to a conventional steering wheel in the Model S and Model X, but those cars didn't have steer by wire. They when they did the last refresh of those, they put in a yoke, but you had to actually go hand over hand, which just didn't work very well with that yoke. So we'll see what happens. All right. General Motors, they've got an assembly plant. They've got 2 assembly plants in Lansing, Michigan. The Grand River assembly plant is where they currently produce the Cadillac CT4 and CT5, although I think the CT4, they may have ended production of that, but they're building the CT5 there. They used to build the 6th gen Camaro there, and they're now getting ready for the next revamp. They're doing a new version of the CT5. They have supposedly greenlit a new 7th generation Camaro, that's going to be built there, and apparently a new sedan for Buick.
If it's not the Grand National, they should just shut Buick down. No
That's
car,
the only option.
no Buick has had a bigger like impact, especially recently in the sort of culturally than the Grand National. Like I wanted to buy I've wanted a Grand National since I was a little kid. My uncle had one, and I was like, this car is rad. And so ever since I've wanted one, and you're getting older, and I'm like, okay, if I could save up enough money, I can buy one. They're getting sort of inexpensive, and then run the Jewels and Kendrick Lamar ruined that for me. So if they're not building a Grand National, what are they even doing?
So do you think they should bring back the old turbocharged 3.8 liter V6 from
I
the
don't care
1980s?
what they put it. They should bring something. They just have something that people. They need a solar, something cool. If you make a Grand National and you only tweak it just a little, the design just a little bit. Oh, they also had one in Watchmen. It was electric. They had an electric Grand National in the Watchmen
That's true.
TV show.
Yeah.
And I really wanted that car. So if they gave us an electric Grand National.
Well, I
take
don't
my
think this
money.
is going to be electric.
Well, that's definitely not going to be electric.
Yeah. But it's gonna be on the same alpha platform as the CTS or the CT5 and the Camaro.
Which is like all signs point to Grand National.
Yeah.
Side.
Would a 4-door Grand National be acceptable to you though?
I don't think I have a choice. It's like a 4-door Acura.
Yeah.
It's like, well, this is the way of the world now. This is how,
The world doesn't want to buy 2-door cars anymore.
Yeah, the world is very picky about
Stupid
two-door.
world.
Stupid world. I got my 2-door car. I make people, if they want to get in the back of the BRZ, they got to open that and put the seat down, slide it forward, shove things.
Yeah,
back
but how
there.
many people do you know that are as tall as Jill Simonello that can actually fit in the back seat of a BRZ?
So the drummer for my band,
Oh my gosh, really?
he's not as small as Joseph Mel. So he and the bass player who's the same height as me. Sometimes I give him a ride to Bart after band practice, and like half the time I have the BRZ and half the time I have the Ioniq 5. Well, for this band practice, I always had the BRZ because my wife has work. So he doesn't fit back there, but he's back there. I think he's sideways, and it's only a few blocks.
Okay, well, that's not so bad.
Yeah, no, we wouldn't drive him for like an hour. That would just kill him.
He'd be dead.
He'd be dead.
I once sat in the back seat of a Hyundai Tiburon.
How?
I don't know if you remember the Tiburon.
I do remember Timberrod. How'd you do that? Was it magic?
It was all kind of scrunched up.
You were younger. It was a different time.
It's true. It was, like 17, 18 years ago.
Different time.
All right. So last week, Chad and I did discuss the, as we were recording it, it was just before the event that Nissan did in Japan last Tuesday night, or Monday night our time here. It was Tuesday morning in Japan when they did it. And we did talk about the new Rogue, which is coming this fall, and is going to be initially at least offered only with the e-Power hybrid system on there.
Which I drove. We can talk about that. I drove the e-Power. It's very nice.
Yeah.
I drove it in Japan. I drove it recently in LA. It is a very nice. Like people at Nissan should be very proud of themselves for this hybrid system.
That's good to hear.
That's yeah. It's like I tried to do the thing where you rev it so it's trying to make it sound like a Toyota, and it wasn't nearly as loud as a Toyota.
It is much more pleasant. I haven't driven it in the Rogue. I drove it in the Qashqai.
Yeah, I drove it in the Qashqai
in November, and it is really, really good. I was very impressed with it. Have you driven the e-Power yet, Nicole?
I don't know that I have.
Did you go to the Nissan event last fall in Nashville?
You're asking me about last fall, and I have the world's worst cold. I can't remember what I did 20 minutes ago. I don't think... Did I? I don't know that I did. I can't remember. I honestly, I'm just going to be honest. I can't remember.
Okay. In addition to the Rogue, which we talked about last week, well, first of all, do either of you have any thoughts on the design of the Rogue?
I like how it looks.
Yeah, it's quite different from the current one.
Yeah,
I think it's a nice change. I think it makes it more updated. It makes it look a little bit more current and not as dowdy as it kind of looked before.
Yeah.
It was looking meh before. And I like the Rogue. I think it's a great little crossover. So,
Well,
I think they've done a good job at sort of taking a car that, like you said, was pretty meh, and making it look a bit more exciting, a bit more. I mean, it still looks like every other, medium-sized SUV on the road, but the front end looks really nice. I think they took a lot from the Aria, which was a car that I think was better than people said it was. Especially the interior of the Aria was amazing, and their E4, their all-wheel drive system was really nice on that vehicle. Which again, it was unfortunate that it just didn't resonate really with folks here in the United States.
Well, they also showed off the new Nissan Juke, which we are not getting, unfortunately, and it's going to be an EV, and like prior generations of Juke, it's a little different looking. Every version of the Juke so far has been a little out there. And
I feel like if they made it look just like a car, it wouldn't have technically been a Juke. It had to be a little bit.
It has to be weird,
funky.
or it's not a Juke. That's the law.
So mission completion, then, if it has to be weird.
Well, they definitely achieved that. And looking at this, it does adopt a lot of the design language from the hyperpunk concept that they showed at the 2023 Tokyo show. It's obviously toned down somewhat from that one. But
they got rid of the funky. I like the way the headlights used to be on the old Juke. The lights were weird. Like it was weird. These funky weird headlights. Now these are less weird. What are these? Are these what shape is that? Is that an
that would be
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6
hexagon? It's sort of an uneven. It's not. It's an irregular hexagon.
Okay, thank you, engineer. An irregular, but then there's so many creases in the angles. In the doors, the sheet metal is not flat. It's like crease.
It's a low polygon car. It's a car from the video game Star Fox.
It makes me think of the Epcot ball. Sorry, it's all I can think of. But there's so many angles to it. But I weirdly like it, though. But I kind of like
too.
it.
I actually like it better than the old. I was never a fan of the first generation Juke that they sold here. Let me rephrase it. I was never a fan of the way it looked. It just did not work for me. But I actually really liked driving it. It was because I once drove a Juke Nismo, which was a hoot to drive. Just as long as I just kind of closed my eyes till I got inside the car, then it was great.
Just bumping into things like like Mr. Magoo.
But I do like the look of this one. I like this origami look to it.
I think it looks cool. It's very different. But I like it every now and then when they go a little different with a car. I think that's neat.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I think I talked to the Nissan design dude, whose name I can't remember because I'm old.
Alfonso Abaya?
Yeah. And he was saying, in the United States, we don't have, a lot of, charm doesn't, or whimsy. Charm or whimsy doesn't really work in the United States. It's not a...
We're not sad. Whimsical.
We're not whimsical people. You're like, where I see this doing well in Europe, I can see 5,000 units being sold here in the U.S. Because United States is so much like high school. Everyone wants to be just like everyone else. You pick your clique, and then you're going to put that uniform on, and you're going to drive that car, and you're going to go to those restaurants, and you're going to eat that food, and you're going to listen to that music. We're very clique, and none of us what was Homer Simpson. I'm not cool enough to be weird or starved.
Yeah, you're gonna eat at Applebee's and shop at Target. And get all your tools and outdoor stuff at Home Depot. Yeah, everything's got to be the same.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we're all going to drive a gray or white car.
Yeah. So I do like the color on this sort of lime greenish yellow.
Because they showed the blue one. The blue one's like meh.
Yeah.
one's like nice, but it looks cooler in this crazy green.
Yeah.
So were there pictures of the blue one? I've only seen the green one.
There's a video.
Like, it doesn't even look like
that's
the same
embedded
car.
in the.
Wow.
Yeah. That's embedded in the Inside EV story that's in the show notes.
Oh, I missed that. Let's see. I'm gonna have to, if I watch it, will everyone hear it? No. Let's see.
So the this is apparently going to be using the same platform as the Leaf, so same 52 kilowatt hour and 75 kilowatt hour batteries. Saying up to 386 miles of WLTP range, so it'll probably be around 305, 310, similar to the Leaf. If you were ever to test it on the EPA cycle, which since they're not going to sell it here, probably no reason to do that.
Yep.
Probably front-wheel drive only, although it could support all-wheel drive. An all-wheel drive version of this could be fun. Put this up against the Toyota CHR. That would be interesting.
Nissan makes really good, inexpensive cars. That's my big takeaway from Nissan is they make these really fun powertrains that sort of end up in mid-priced cars, which people don't seem to want for whatever reason, or people haven't traditionally wanted the last 10, 15 years. Their entry-level, like, inexpensive cars are so good. Like, the Kicks is better than the Altima. The Leaf is better than the Leaf was better than the Aria. It's just, yeah.
All right. Anything else on the Juke? Any other comments on that before we move on?
It's fold-tastic.
All right.
Mm-hmm.
At the opposite end of the spectrum, Porsche introduced yet another. I think this is about the 378th different variation on the 911. This is the 911 GT3 SC, which is the first time they've done a convertible version of a 911 GT3. It's got all the GT3 goodness, but it's a convertible. It's available with a manual transmission.
Yeah.
Which is outstanding. And it's a naturally aspirated 4-liter flat six, 102 horsepower at 9,000 RPM.
This is a party mobile.
Yeah, it is.
This is,
and
I see a lot of people buy GT3s who have no business behind the wheel of a GT3. They're driving so they don't know how to do they don't know how to corner, they don't know how to do anything. I think this is, and I think some people are going to get all upset because the GT3, you're losing some of the rigidity because it's a convertible. Shut up.
The way most people drive a GT3, they won't matter. It won't make any difference.
It doesn't matter. Even the way you drive, whoever you are, you're not doing real 10/10 on this car because there's nowhere you can do that. To be honest,
unless you take it to a track.
Yeah, if you take it to a track, and then if you're a person who's going to a track, you're going to buy,
You're going to buy the hard top anyway.
Yeah, you're going to buy the hard top. So, I support this this manual convertible GT3. A salute to you, Porsche. Remember, every time they sell a Macan, the 5,000 variants of the 911 are all because they sell a lot of Macans and Cayennes.
Yep.
So every time someone hates on those Porsche SUVs, I'm like, you need to shut your mouth because those SUVs pay for this. There's now a variant for every 911 owner. Each individual owner has their very own variant. There's going to be the Bill.
It's not
variant.
just picking your own colors, but there's a unique trim level for everybody who buys one.
For everyone who buys one.
They can just sell one of every different type of 911 and satisfy the market.
Yep. Yeah, so it's and so don't get all up on your high horse with people who buy 911 SUVs. You're like, oh, they're not real Porsches. First of all, those cars drive amazing. Second of all, they pay for all these.
Exactly.
And well, I mean, I suspect that at the prices they charge for this, it probably pays for itself anyway.
Yeah,
the GT3 SC, $273,350 starting price.
That's starting price. So
wow.
Then when you bring in your paint chip and say, I want it to be this color, then they'll charge you another $30,000 or so for that, for painting it in whatever custom color you want and doing unique interiors. I do like the red plaid interiors on these press photos.
Yeah, those red plaid's really nice.
Yeah, that is cool.
That looks really cool. I'm a sucker for a plaid interior. It just look cool.
This is the car for everyone's like, well, there's no fun cars anymore. I'm like, well, if you have $300,000,
I just was with
you can
someone
you can buy 10 Miatas or one of these.
I was in LA last week and I visited a friend who has a 911 and he has a tan, like that dark saddle kind of interior, and he had a green plaid, like a green and blue plaid. Oh my gosh, it looks so pretty. It is beautiful.
All right. Let's see. Volkswagen. The ID.3 Neo has now been revealed. So this is a significant update to the ID.3. And they're now, as they did with the ID.2 Polo, they're putting actual names on their EVs. So this is a pretty big update for VW, and it has, the exterior doesn't look dramatically different. They've revised the front fascia and the lights and stuff. The interior is where they make the big difference on this one. And remember, we were talking a couple weeks ago about Thomas Schaefer saying buttons everywhere. You got to have buttons in a car. Well, they certainly did that in this one. And,
look at all those buttons.
All the buttons.
A whole row of buttons.
And look at the driver's side armrest.
6, 7, 8, 9 buttons on the center console.
Count the number of window switches on the driver's side armrest.
Wait, where's?
There's 4.
Oh my gosh!
Look at that.
There's
1, 2, 3, 4.
1, 2, 3, 4. How many are on there? I can't see
one,
that.
One for every window. There's
window?
There's no front or rear button now.
Look at that.
They realized what a dumb idea that was.
4 buttons and a child lock button and buttons to lock and unlock, and they're all right there.
Yeah.
Yep.
And on the steering wheel, you got actual buttons there too, instead of the haptic touch controls they had before.
I like the design of this button layout. It's very 80s.
I was going to say the very
clean,
square.
like,
it's so squared off on the steering wheel. That's kind of cool.
Yeah, it's very 80s like, Volkswagen.
Yeah. And then the dash. No, I think. Of course, we're not getting this car.
Not that we're ever going to see it. I was about to say that. Not that we'll ever get to drive it in the United States. But these will end
up in the ID.4 and then updated ID Buzz and et cetera, et cetera.
And even though they have stopped production of the ID.4 in Chattanooga, they have said that we're going to get an updated ID.4 at some point, and so it will undoubtedly have this interior in it, which is a good thing.
The ID.4 isn't bad. It's just I think I did a video about it's sort of a boring car. Yeah. But it does the thing it needs to do.
But you know what else is
how many boring gas cars are on the market?
Yeah, you know what else is boring? A Toyota RAV4. And it's the best-selling nameplate in America.
It is. It's a very boring car, but it's
I went out to dinner last night. There were 3 RAV4s in the parking lot with dealer plates, like the new, like you just bought the car. 3. Everyone bought one yesterday.
Everyone bought a new RAV4. It's a good car. Good, boring, not exciting. I call it the RAD4 because I want to give it a little extra something for.
You called the what?
RAD4.
RAD4. Oh, okay.
Yeah, I mean it's not a fun car, but what it is, it's pretty rad. It sells really well.
So the ID.3 Neo, they've made some other updates to it as well. It's let's see, where's the so they've improved the efficiency of the motors, they've upgraded the batteries and everything up to 630 kilometers WLTP, which is about 390 miles. So over 300 miles of range on the top models. Faster charging. It's they've upgraded it across the board. So
it's still 400 volt, but it's still it's the ID.3. It's entry level vehicle. So I'm not expecting 800 volts from something like this.
Yeah. So hopefully we will get an ID.4 with all these upgrades before too long. All right. Uber. Back in 2018, Uber was the first company to have somebody killed with one of their autonomous development vehicles. And then a little over a year later, they abandoned their whole AV development program, sold it off to Aurora, And then in the last couple of years, they've been throwing money at just about everybody that's working on AVs to get robotaxis into their fleet as soon as possible. And that number now adds up to a grand total of about $10 billion that they are investing in robotaxis, which is it's a lot of money.
It's a lot of money for something that isn't going to be profitable for about 10 years. Then again, Uber wasn't profitable for whatever. And when you see these companies like, oh, we're doing autonomous whatever, a lot of that is just sort of appeasing shareholders. Rivian could do anything in the world they could have made the best EV truck on the planet, but until they start talking about AVs, then they got a spike in their stock price just because they said autonomous.
Yeah, so Uber is planning to spend $7.5 billion on buying robotaxis for its fleet. So that's a fundamental shift for Uber. Going from an asset light model where they rely on drivers to bring the vehicles to them, and to going to owning their own fleets. And they've partnered with a bunch of companies. They're running Waymos in Austin and Atlanta. They're running AV Ride robotaxis in Dallas and Houston. They're running May Mobility robotaxis in Atlanta. They're running Motional robotaxis in Las Vegas. They've got partnerships in Japan, in the Middle East. They're planning later this year to start testing vehicles from Wave in the UK. So they're throwing money at all these companies. They've also invested in Lucid and Rivian. They initially put $300 million into Lucid, $300 million into Nuro, who is their partner for robotaxis. Last week they put another. They participated in another $650 million round for Lucid, and also they put several hundred million into Rivian for their robotaxis. So they're throwing money around, like there's no tomorrow.
It's a lot of money for the hope that it's going to pay off soon, but like you said, not probably.
It's got to be, especially now they have all these things on their books, all this inventory that they have to deal with now. That includes like taking care of these. That includes, are they taking care of the tele control? Who does that? Is that the individual companies? Is that Uber who takes care of that? Like when the car gets confused and you have to call home and someone's like looking through a little, a monitor and controlling the car, who does? And there's so many things that are going on with this robotaxi stuff that we don't, and they, again, for the sake of shareholders, you don't talk about stuff like that. You're just like, look at this. We're all going to be able to ride in robotaxis. I'm like, yeah, but remember when Uber came to San Francisco or really any other city and increased the traffic? Like they made traffic worse.
All the stories of the traffic jams that happen because of all the things that they do. And yeah.
And that's just we're talking about the human drivers. They did research, and it turns out that increasing the amount of cars on the road made more traffic because we increased more taxis, which were Ubers. More
funny
Lyfts.
How that works.
So, traffic got worse, and some of this money, like throw like 1% of this money at like public transportation, and that would be a lot better.
Yeah. Let's see. All right. So Doug Field left Ford. Or is leaving Ford. They announced it a couple days ago. And you remember when Ford did this big reorganization and they created two separate business units, one called Ford Blue, which was all their traditional stuff, and Ford Model E, which was all their EVs and software and digital and electronic stuff. Well, with Doug leaving Ford, they're reorganizing again, and they've created something called the what the heck was it called now? The
trying to find the title. It was
Product Creation and Industrialization Group, which is being.
What does that even mean?
Isn't that every group? That's like saying science and technology. We'll be building our company with technology. We're like,
basically, okay. what it is they're even though I reached out to Ford when this announcement came out, and I said, so does this mean that Model E is going to go away? They said, no, Model E is still there. Model E not going anywhere, at least not this week.
Not today. Yeah.
Because basically, what it says here in the announcement, the new structure, which integrates Ford's electric vehicle, digital, and design team with its global industrial system. Well, electric vehicle, digital, and design, that is basically all that was Model E. Mm-hmm. So pretty much everything that was part of Model E is now being integrated into this new group, which is reporting to
industrialization.
Yeah, it's reporting to Kumar Galhotra, who's the chief operating officer for Ford. And Alan Clark is his new title. He had been leading the advanced EV program, the Skunk Works. He's now vice president of advanced development projects, and he'll continue leading the advanced electric vehicle development team in Long Beach, and working on launching the universal electric vehicle platform. So he's now reporting to Kumar. So what exactly is left of Model E? I'm guessing that within the next few months, we will see Ford announce that, yeah, we're just going to go back to one automotive business. And I think what the way I'm interpreting this right now is that they've seen what's going on with the Skunk Works program, and they're confident enough that it is working so well that they're just going to roll it right back into the main organization, because some of the stuff they talk about in here is they want to bring the new electronic architecture that the Skunk Works developed across the board to all their vehicles, so they can have full OTA updates on everything they build, whether it's got gas, hybrid, diesel, whatever. It's all going to be updatable. They're going to have all the new software in there so that they can support the new Level 2 Plus and Level 3 ADAS systems. They're basically just taking everything from the Skunk Works and from Latitude AI, everything that was done in Model E, and finally bringing it into the rest of the organization, which is going to be interesting to watch how that plays out over the next couple of years.
I mean,
deep sigh. Robbie, your sigh summed it all up. We don't even need to say anything.
This okay. Ford had some wonderful engineers, just absolutely, gangbusters, smart engineers.
And how many of them are going to quit in the next 2.5 years when they're
when they look at what is possible at other automakers? That's going to, it's going to be, there's people who are going to bleed blue forever. That's like, I'm Ford no matter what. But there's people who are also like, oh, look what GM's doing. Look what Hyundai's doing. Look what all the Mercedes is doing. I mean, Mercedes is building, look at what all these other companies are doing. And it seems they have a focus and they have a business plan that doesn't change every 3 months.
Are you implying that Ford is can't stick to a plan?
I just don't I mean, gosh, I just wish the CEO would stop making podcasts and start CEOing.
CEOing.
I want, these are people's jobs. This is, Ford's a huge, American company. The F-150 Lightning, it was a bad decision, like the amount they thought they were going to make, but it's still a wonderful vehicle. The Mach-E is a great vehicle. The E-Transit was great. And I have a whole video about the E-Transit that is now dust in the wind because they're like, yeah, we're not going to do that anymore. I'm just like,
doesn't matter.
I'm like, your business plan shouldn't like disrupt people just making a video about one of your cars. So yeah, there is a, when you look at the way Hyundai operates, where everyone like, this is the plan, this is what we're going to do, and then they focus and stick to that plan, and then you look at Ford, we're like, Ford is me in my college years. Like, I should do this homework, I should do this thing, I should do this.
The only caveat I put to it is, it is the industry is so messed up right now trying to decide what to make, and the whole push for EVs and not a push for EVs, and people want to buy them and people don't want to buy them, and there's an incentive and there's not an incentive, and It was a tough call. It was tough to figure out. I mean, think about all the losses a lot of them have taken and pulling back.
But
on
I
EVs,
think a lot
you
of
know?
those losses were just bad management, to be honest.
I would some of it definitely, but it was
And
also just you have to guess, right? You have to guess which way.
More bad like just dumping more bad ideas on top of the other, as opposed to like, you know.
Oh, for sure.
Let's
But I think
sit
that
down
I think
and
a lot of
figure
them
out-
are like, look at the like who hasn't canceled EVs of some kind at this point?
I mean, well,
or
who hasn't
cancel-
canceled cars, to be honest?
Yeah, or canceled whole companies. What was the one? The Sony Avila thing.
Yeah.
Oh well, that was a
whole
boondogger from
company-
the
That
beginning.
that was one that never should have started. I mean that's
that
probably
was
the
bad.
smartest thing that Honda did.
Right?
That was the
So that
smartest
was,
thing
you
that
know-
Sony that Sony ever did was allow Honda to cancel the car that no one was going to buy.
Yeah.
So I just wish Ford would just, I don't know, find a plan and stick to it. I mean, the companies that seem to find a plan and stick to it seem to be doing pretty well. And the ones that are sort of floundering and like we have a meeting once and then we're like, that's the new plan. Those are the ones that are, you know,
Having a little more trouble.
listen, they have the F-Series to keep them going for decades.
Exactly.
Ford could cancel everything. They could mess up nonstop, and that F-Series will keep them rolling for decades. So it does give them a really nice cushion.
They have
to
a
do
sure thing right there.
whatever they want. But at the same time, when you're someone who's buying a car and you're just like, what? Okay. All right. I guess the fact that the F-150 Lightning is not a huge fleet vehicle, but the Silverado EV is. I mean, GM is I've talked to GM a couple times about their EVs, and some of them are like, we are pushing really hard for these to be in fleets because it makes a lot of sense for fleets. And then I look around, and there's a lot of Silverados and a lot of fleets.
Mm-hmm.
That's
like,
frankly
what?
where most of them are. Most of the Silverados I've ever seen, the Silverado EVs, are fleet vehicles of some sort.
Those should be F-150s, to be honest, because you can just transfer whatever you have on your other F-150 on this vehicle onto this vehicle, and instead there's something else. And I'm just like, that is
You know what? The only fleet
leaving money on the table.
The only fleet EV truck I've ever seen, there is a paving company around here that uses Rivians. And they have a little fleet of Rivians that do, you'll see them around, and they've been using them since first time last summer. And their trucks are everywhere. And we have one neighbor in our neighborhood who has a Lightning. One. That's it.
Good truck.
It is a
I
good
see
truck.
a lot of Caltrans, Silverado EVs. A lot of local municipalities in California, Silverado EVs. And I'm just like, those should be F-150 Lightnings, to be honest.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, GM was smart about like, okay, well, we accidentally told everybody these were going to be $100,000, so that we kind of shot ourselves in the foot that way. But if we can sell these to a lot of fleets, we're making money.
Exactly.
Well, back when Doug Field first came back to Ford in like 2021 or 22, whenever that was, they did an event in Dearborn where he introduced his new leadership team there. He had brought in a bunch of people from outside Ford to lead software and lead electronics development and all kinds of other stuff. And they said it was almost all people from outside of the auto industry, even not just outside of Ford, because there were people from Hewlett Packard and elsewhere. At the time, Ford was saying, we're gonna, they had launched the Lightning, they had launched the Mach-E, and we're gonna do this next generation EV that's gonna be a 3-row electric crossover. It's gonna be on a new platform with a new electronic architecture, new software. It's gonna be all updatable. And then they delayed it and eventually just canceled it entirely. It was supposed to be in production by the end of 2024. And in August of 2024, they canceled the entire program. And they canceled most of the other stuff. And now they're using the stuff from the Skunk Works, which is maybe a step beyond what they were doing. Who knows? But they never publicly showed what they were doing with a 3-row crossover. The only hint we had gotten up until this week was the Lincoln Star concept from 2022. I don't know if you remember that. And that was supposed to be a preview of what the Lincoln version of this was going to look like. So kind of an electric replacement for the Aviator. Well, it turns out that there's been a picture of the Ford that's been sitting online for over a year that nobody noticed until this week. It was the banner image on Doug Field's LinkedIn page. And this is apparently the Ford Eros. This is apparently the crossover that they were building, that they were going to build in Oakville, Ontario. What do you think?
What did I say it looked like? Crosstour, the Honda Crosstour.
It's just the back end is just it's missing. Just like somebody went with just like a cake knife and cut it off the back.
After my long rant about Ford not sticking to something, good job not making this.
Good job not sticking to this. If you're not going to stick to something, make this the thing you don't stick to.
Yeah. Sometimes, sometimes you're like, well, maybe we don't build this. I think this is.
It's clearly very aerodynamic.
Yeah.
But the third row in this thing would have definitely been a child-only third row.
Just hunch down.
Yeah.
There's no way that could have been usable by anybody. It's a Jill Ciminillo third row.
Yeah. I think really you should bring back the Dodge Magnum. Make that an EV.
Absolutely.
There you go.
Dodge Magnum, that was a dope, man. That thing was, I remember that thing was everywhere here in Northern California. I don't know about the rest of y'all.
You had a lot of them once upon a time.
Yeah. I mean, I think they all just fell apart after about 5-10 years. They probably weren't, But I think when they were,
I still see them around every once in a while. I see one.
Yeah, there's
around.
a couple left. But when they were being sold, man, those are everywhere. And I'm like, that's a dope, man. Good job, Dodge, making a wagon that people want. Just make the Dodge Magnum.
Yeah.
Not this.
Not this, huh? Okay. All right. What else did we have here? Oh, Honda also killed another EV. The ENY1. I'm not even sure how you're supposed to pronounce that.
Why?
This is basically. This was initially developed for the Chinese market. It's basically an electric version of the HR-V that they sell in the rest of the world. So we have a fundamentally different HR-V from what everybody else gets. The HR-V they sell here is based on the Civic, and everywhere else they get one that's based on the Honda Fit, or Jazz, as it's called in some markets. And then this one was developed for the Chinese market, the ENY1. I don't even know what the heck that's supposed to mean.
I'm trying to figure it out, and it literally just says it's pronounced ENY1.
Everything about this car was cursed, though. Like, it was too expensive.
Yeah.
Like, it wasn't really that great. It's not a Honda of a Honda. It's the bad Honda.
Yeah. It had all the traits that we disliked about the original BZ4X, like taking 45 minutes to charge from 10 to 80% on a DC charger. So they were selling it in the UK. They've now discontinued it. But on the plus side, the British are soon this summer are going to get the Honda Super N instead. That's the one. I drove it in Japan last October. It's based on a K car on the N1, it's got wider fenders. It's a hot hatch version of the EN1, so that thing is going to be. I think British drivers will be much happier with the Super N.
Yeah, I'm all for killing a bad car and making a good car. And replace it with a good car. Although I'm sad about the Ioniq 6. It just wasn't it was okay. It was ugly. Let's just say it. People thought it was ugly. It's a good car. Just don't look at it.
Just don't look at it. Close your eyes.
A couple of weeks ago, we talked about Stellantis making a pitch to build Leapmotor EVs in their Brampton, Ontario assembly plant, which the original plan. That's the plant that used to build the Charger, Challenger, and Chrysler 300, and they were going to build the new generation Compass there. And then last spring, after tariffs, they decided to kill that plan, even though they had already started retooling the plant. And as part of that, they had gotten a bunch of incentives from the provincial government in Ontario, and so they've been trying to figure out what to do with that factory now. And they proposed a plan to assemble Leapmotor EVs in that factory. So this plant is just west of Toronto, the government and the union, Unifor, the Canadian Auto Workers Union, rejected that plan because it turns out that what Stellantis actually wanted to do there was build these Leapmotor vehicles from complete knockdown kits, which, what that is basically is they partially assemble and put together a kit with all the parts for a car, put it in a crate, ship it to some plant overseas, and then do the final assembly there. So they can say, yeah, it's assembled here. That plan, instead of the 3,000 people that were previously working there and that would have been working there building the Compass, that plan would have employed about 200 to 300 people.
Like four guys with those Torx wrench that comes with the IKEA stuff. Essentially, you're just rebuilding IKEA furniture, but cars.
Well, and they would have had impact wrenches to put the wheels on. So that plan has now been killed. So now they're trying again. So we'll see. I mean, Stellantis is having an investor day next month here in Auburn Hills, and that's where they're supposed to lay out their strategic plan going forward. And we'll see if they keep any EVs at all in their lineup, or just cancel everything and just build Hemis.
Everything's a Hemi.
Could happen.
Dodge Magnum Hemi.
Yeah, you never know.
Just call everything Hemi. Just slap that badge on all the cars.
Yeah. So we'll see if they have anything to say about the Brampton plant then.
Brampton. It's fun to say.
And then finally, National Transportation Safety Board recently released their report. Back in early 2024, there were 2 fatal crashes involving Mustang Mach-E's operating on Blue Cruise, and the NTSB did an investigation into those and came up with some good recommendations, as they usually do. Sadly, this is America in 2026, so probably none of this will actually get implemented.
To be fair, NHTSA hasn't done anything about anything for 15 years.
Right? That's not a new phenomenon. That's just
NHTSA. That's not new.
The 2 crashes were interesting. One involved there was a vehicle that was stopped in the lane on the highway. Mach-E was following another car, which saw the stopped vehicle, pulled over into the adjacent lane, and then the Mach-E just ran headlong into the stopped vehicle and unfortunately killed the occupant of that vehicle. Neither of the occupants of the 2 Mach-E's were seriously injured in either of these crashes, but the one in Philadelphia ran straight into the vehicle, and then the other one involved a Mach-E going almost 75 miles an hour in a construction zone that was marked for 45 miles an hour. Again, ran into a stationary vehicle. Turns out the driver of the Mach-E was in fact impaired, was not paying proper attention, and so NTSB made some recommendations. They're calling on improvements to the driver monitor systems to better be able to detect when drivers are impaired or non-responsive, more stringent performance testing protocols, which right now there are none. There's none at all in the U.S. Let's see. They also say that these vehicles, when they're operating in hands-free mode, that it should not disable things like automatic emergency braking systems. So it should still be able to detect and stop the vehicle, or at least hit the brakes.
When you're in autonomous mode, those things get disabled? I don't think I knew that until this minute.
Apparently on the Fords, they did, at least at the time, with the version that was on these vehicles in 2024. That apparently was the case, because it did not engage the automatic emergency braking. They also said that they should have intelligent speed assistance that should not allow the vehicle to go, when you're using a hands-free mode, should not allow the vehicle to go more than 20 miles an hour over posted speed limits. They recommend against allowing the hands-free automation to work in construction zones with reduced speed limits. So some good overall recommendations, which again, NTSB has made a lot of really good recommendations about these various systems over the years, especially for Tesla Autopilot and FSD, because they've investigated a number of those crashes. And as you said, NHTSA has done exactly nothing about any of these.
I went to the hearing for the accident, the NTSB hearing for the final sort of conclusion for the gentleman who died, the Apple engineer,
Walter Wang,
Model Y or X.
X, I think, yeah.
And NTSB, like, they did their thing, and then they spent a good 15, 20 minutes just railing against NHTSA for not doing their job. Just absolutely just calling them out for not doing their job. And it changed exactly nothing.
Yeah.
Which is scary, because NHTSA makes the rule. NTSB can say, hey, you guys should really do this stuff. And then they're like, meh.
Right?
It's like, yeah. And this is, this is
They've been long criticized for being so slow moving to change things and make a regulation that should have been changed years ago finally sees its time in the light. Like, why didn't we do this 10 years ago? Why didn't we do this 8 years ago or whatever?
And under the current administration, they're not going to introduce any new regulations. All they want to do is eliminate existing regulations.
Yeah.
I mean, Jennifer Homendy, who is the current chair of the NTSB, she, in various speeches over the last couple of years, she has been extremely critical of NHTSA. So just for those that don't know, we've got two different bodies here. There's the National Transportation Safety Board, which is an investigatory body, and they investigate all kinds of transportation crashes. So that includes road vehicles, but also trains, aircraft, marine, anything. They investigate those and they make recommendations, but they have no regulatory or enforcement authority. That's up to the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration to make the rules and enforce those rules. And NTSB has always been exceptional at what they do in terms of investigating crashes and finding, determining root cause and making recommendations. The National Highway Traffic Safety Administration, whose responsibility is to take those recommendations and put them into rules, they have been utterly negligent for at least the last 10 or 15 years. They've done
just absolutely
nothing.
Worthless.
Yeah.
Anyway, let's get on some planes next week, everybody.
Yeah.
That's FAA. That's a totally different, has nothing to do with NHTSA. Sorry.
Yeah. All right, so that's all we've got for this week. We do have 2 interviews that Nicole has recorded over the last couple of weeks. We had, posted a couple last week, including Allison Witherspoon, the CMO of Nissan. This time, we've got, first up is going to be Jennifer Morrison, who is she's Director of Safety Strategy and Communications for Mazda North America.
Correct.
And then after that will be Rob Whitley, who you talked with at the New York Auto Show, and I forget what Rob's
I'm trying to get
was.
his actual title is product planning, what is he? Head of product pricing and Lucid Air production marketing and management, it says in here.
Okay. So both of those conversations the Rob Whitley conversation was at the New York Auto Show. I'm not sure where you talked with Jennifer Morrison.
Jennifer Morrison, I just talked to her last week. I just chatted with her on the phone.
All right. So both of these, if you're a patron, thank you so much for your support for the show. You've already heard these. They've been in the Patreon feed for a while now. And for the rest of you, well, come on, get with the program. But you can hear those interviews. You can hear
money.
You can hear those interviews now, starting off with Jennifer Morrison and then Rob Whitley. And we will talk to you next time. Bye.
Bye.
Tell me, what is your title at Mazda first? Good one. Yes, I'm the director of vehicle safety strategy and communications.
Okay. So Mazda is on quite a roll. You have, unless it's changed since I last got this, 8 2026 IIHS top safety pick plus vehicles in your lineup, which is the most of any automaker. Is that still correct?
It's still correct. In fact, the Crystal Awards themselves, I can go grab one from the hall. They just arrived in the DC office. We just unboxed them and put them out on display on our console table in our lobby. So yeah, 8 is a lot. They're very heavy, and they're really hard to earn. So that's another thing that I'd love to talk a little bit more about.
Yeah, so 8 is a big number. I mean, there's automakers that have had cars for ages that they cannot get that award on certain vehicles because they just can't swing it, because it's not just one or two things. It's a huge number of things you guys have to hit in order to get that top safety rating. So talk to me a little bit about what Mazda does to manage to get all those awards for its vehicles.
Right. It really is a stack up. What we do, like big picture, long-term answer of how we do this is we're aligning internally on what truly does affect vehicle road safety in real world crashes. So we're internally already doing our own research. What types of crashes are people getting most injured in? What types of scenarios can we create crash avoidance technology or occupant protection systems to really address? So we're looking at that at all times on a big picture. And the thing that aligns really nicely here is so is IIHS. They're doing that same thing. They're using the insurance claim data to look at what's happening in the real world. We're typically using crash data to look at what's happening in the real world. And those two things often align. So that's what happened when IHS updated their side impact testing about 4 years ago. And Mazda's, our CX-5 was the very first and only small SUV to do well in that test for a few years until others caught up. It was an incredible moment for us. But the reason we built our vehicle so strong and done that work on the side impact and done side impact airbags and seatbelt pretensioners and just overall the structure of the cage to work for side impact so well, which is a part of still getting in the IHS Top Safety Pick Plus award. The reason we've done that is because we've seen that were more aggressive side impact crashes. Vehicles that were hitting our vehicles were getting bigger and faster. And we'd already taken that into consideration. And IHS was on the same path. So our paths often converge because of our internal safety research and philosophy to always improve, regardless of what the other agencies say. But it's really nice when those two things align and what they're asking us to do is something we've already started working on. So that's behind, really truly what's behind a lot of this.
So you mentioned in that part of what made that more challenging, the side impacts, was it's no longer sedans hitting sedans. It's sometimes a giant SUV hitting a small sedan or crossover. How much did that force you guys to make some changes in how you looked at things?
That's exactly what that test did. It was more momentum overall. It was a larger moving, because that one, it's a stationary vehicle that gets hit by a moving barrier, and that barrier got bigger and faster. So it was more energy to absorb. So what we really had to do was think about how do we absorb that? How do we dissipate the energy? So the steel structure, we use an ultra high strength tensile steel, and it's a kind of steel that when you hit it, steel can break pretty quickly. So rather than breaking, it bends. And when you bend, you can move the forces outward versus just letting them in. That's called, when you just let the forces in, it's like intrusion into the occupant compartment. So great display down at IHS, which shows this, where the steel frame of a competitor vehicle that's shown next to a Mazda vehicle separates, and you can see that the energy would just be let into the occupant compartment. Whereas with the Mazda vehicle, it just kind of bends into forms and dissipates outward. So it really is not just airbags and seatbelts, although that is a component of this as well. It's about energy dissipation as a strategic approach to crash worthiness. And that's and that also helps with the new moderate front overlap crash. So that's a vehicle that hits the stationary barrier at 40 miles an hour with a 40% overlap. That one is also a lot about energy dissipation, but even more maybe about seatbelts in that one, because front crash is a lot about seatbelts.
So in addition to seatbelts, which are like the thing that everybody hates to wear, I can't imagine, I'm still surprised by the number of people that hate wearing seatbelts. Like I can't even drive without one. It makes me uncomfortable to not have a seatbelt on. But that's like a big one. Seatbelts are huge. That will save a lot of lives. The strengthening that you've done to the vehicles, how much does all the fancy new tech play into things like the ADAS systems? How much does that impact you getting these ratings, and how much does it improve the safety overall, do you think, of Mazda's vehicles?
It's almost 50-50 at this point. Is it okay if I share a graphic? Because I think it's
Absolutely.
the best way to really to show this. I am just going to go into presentation mode so you can see only this. Bring this down and just excuse me from averting my eyes towards the camera for a second, because this is going to be on a screen next
That's
to me.
okay. And you have to get me this graphic so I can include it in things.
Absolutely. This is a public-facing graphic. You can use this in any of your discussions. So basically, this is what I need, because this is not easy to communicate to people, right? It's pretty technical, but honestly, it's not that hard to understand when you see it in graphical form. It's a stack up of these of all of these requirements, and if you get good ratings, good or acceptable ratings in some of these categories. So these are all the crash testing ones. There's the small overlap, the moderate front overlap. That's the updated one that has the rear seat dummy now. That's the one we've been running a lot. The updated side. So here's the categories. So if you do all of these things, you get one of these. If you do, there's a couple of different nuances here. You can get good or acceptable in the pedestrian front crash prevention test. Whereas with the top safety pick plus one, you have to have only good. So you can have this and study it a little bit more. So in Mazda's case, this is how we got all 8, right? Is that we did everything we needed to do in these categories. You can see that there's these crash testing elements, but let's not forget about headlights, right? Headlights are a really important and almost foundational component of crash avoidance. The safest system in the vehicle is still the driver. And the best way to truly avoid crashes is for the driver to be able to see things as clearly as they can. And that's why IIHS includes headlights in their top safety pick plus criteria. So it's really half and half. You've got 3 categories here that are crash testing and 3 that are crash avoidance. The pedestrian front crash prevention, that's now done in daytime and nighttime, which means we have to have smarter, better cameras that can see in all of those conditions, because pedestrians can't really be seen that well with radars. So we need really good cameras to see those pedestrians and then react. And then the front crash prevention 2.0, which is now a trailer target, a motorcycle target, and a car target. The radar is a huge component of that for those types of targets, and they're at higher speeds. You can see that Mazda has not gotten a good rating in that test yet. It is the newest crash avoidance test. We are working on it. I hope I have some better news on that. You can see we've got our newest CX-5, the one you saw out in California.
Yes.
It hasn't been tested. You can see my little coming soon here. Oh, sorry, I didn't need to move to the next slide. You don't need to know how IHS ratings are done. There we go. That one hasn't been tested at all yet. So we look forward to giving like a whole green column here, but we haven't achieved that yet. So.
Okay, so we're fingers crossed for all greens when that one comes out. That's what you're hoping.
Yeah, well, the headlights, because there are 2 trims of headlights, that is pretty normal to have both good and acceptable. Because our adaptive front headlights are the ones that do the turning with the steering wheel. And those are on the upper trim. I'd have to fact check that. I believe those are on the upper trim for CX-5, that there's not 2 different. I'm almost positive there's 2 different trims, because I know that IHS needs to test it in 2 different ways. So that one would be pretty common for all of these, the with and without the adaptive front. So I would imagine hopefully a good and acceptable sitting here side by side. But yes, we are always hopeful to get all good ratings, and this will be our new updated electrical architecture, all new sensor suite, new front-facing camera, new logic in our crash avoidance technology. It's all from a new supplier with some more advanced to really its logic and its hardware and its software. So we're hoping for another great
Okay.
there, but I can't make any promises until we do the test series. It should be done later this summer.
Okay, so
We're
not
going to
that
be
far off.
crash testing it on May 27th. So this test will be done. We actually run these two tests, the small overlap and the side impact. We're allowed to run those internally now
Oh,
and submit all of that data, the dummy sensor data and the video data to IHS. They have to run this one at their facility because it's the newest one. They run this in person at their facility. We have that already scheduled for late May. And then they will also run their own headlight testing. It's very unique. No one else does it. And then we run these at a contracted laboratory in the United States. That's also scheduled for sometime this spring.
so as you're talking about trying to meet some of these new things, they keep changing them, they keep updating them, all in the interest is of keeping us safer, right? As things change, vehicles get bigger, all these different things. What is your biggest challenge in continuing to get all those nice little green boxes on this list of safety features?
Yeah, I mean, it's the biggest challenge is truly keeping pace with there's a lot of technologies out there that can help solve these problems, but we have 8 models, right? So sometimes you've just reinvented a model, you've just done your updates, and then you need to move on to the next product cycle and next model. And keeping pace with all 8 models is something that Mazda has really done an outstanding job on. I think that's why you often see some of these other companies only have 1 or 2 top safety pick plus awards, because in their product cycle, I do give credit to many of our competitors. They are also safety focused and they're able to add this new technology in. But the thing that's really differentiated Mazda is that we're doing it further upstream. Maybe it's helpful that we only have 8 models and not 25, right? So some of our competitors have a much more diverse set of products where we can do it a little bit further upstream and get the technology baked in a little earlier so that we can hit these marks right as IHS is releasing their award criteria. But it is still a big challenge, the timing of it, because oftentimes we're getting that criteria 2 years ahead of time, but our product cycle is 4 years generally. So we have to be thinking 2 years ahead of what we're doing 4-year predictions on a 2-year criteria is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
And we do that by having a really close relationship with IHS, like going to conferences and events where they're talking, because even though they're not publishing their criteria to 2 years out, they're talking about it and they're floating ideas with us, and we're listening really closely to that.
So it's kind of like you have a little bit of a hint of where their mindset is and where you might want to focus.
Right.
Okay.
Right. And the internal work we're doing of what we want to do anyway to help reduce crashes and their injuries they cause, that helps provide us that internal compass of, okay, well, even if IHS doesn't include this in their criteria right away, it's still a really good idea, and let's go ahead and do it.
How often do you think that happens? So when you talk about things, IHS didn't say you have to do it to make a test or to get a score, but you find something that's like, this is really good. This is really helpful.
Right.
How often do those kind of things, you look at them and say, we're just going to put that in there anyway. No one's going to test it. No one's going to give us a gold star. We're just going to put that in the car.
All the time. And I have 3 really good examples of how that's even happening today. So the first, which ties to the Consumer Reports accolade, is blind spot monitoring. It's nowhere in this list. It's not required for IHS at all. But for Consumer Reports, it's one of their foundational requirements that we have blind spot monitoring systems, which have no federal regulation. There's no federal motor vehicle safety standard that requires those. That surprises a lot of people.
Yeah.
They're great. You love them. Everyone loves them. They're right. They're not required. There's no standard on them, but we found that they were just really helpful to crash avoidance, roadway departures, sideswipe crashes in particular, and that they were reducing insurance claims and damages. And we've put them standard equipment in Mazda vehicles since, I want to say, 2023 model year.
Okay.
So we're at least 3 full model years in now. And that's also packaged with the rear cross traffic alert. It's the same general technology. It uses side radars.
Right.
So that's a technology that IHS doesn't say anything about. The government doesn't say anything about. We think it's great. Our customers think it's great. On Mazda, it's standard. You do not have to pay extra for that technology.
Okay.
Kind of core safety principle. And that's really what helped as a big differentiator for us for that Consumer Reports Award. Another one is traffic sign recognition. It's the speed technology that says that's able to use either mapping data or a camera and see if the speed of the vehicle is matching the speed of the roadway, and then provide a series of different alerts. That's a technology that is standard on the new CX-5, and IHS is thinking about it, and they've mentioned it as part of, they have this program called 30 by 30. They would like to reduce 30% of crashes by 2030. It's an optimistic goal, but we agree that would be wonderful. And speeding is a huge part of that, trying to get people to reduce their speeds. So we've already started to roll that out as standard technology. It's available on all of our other products, and now it's standard on the CX-5. And there was one more that I was going to bring up: speed, blind spot. And now I'm going to lose the third one, but it'll come back to me.
It's going to come back to you after we finish talking.
Let me leave you with the two, and the third one.
Okay, we'll go with two, and then when I get the email.
Reminders. I'm sorry, it came back quickly.
Oh, what is it?
The seatbelt reminders. So Mazda has had seatbelt reminder icons in our vehicles since, I think, 2018 model year. And the government has been saying they were going to regulate that for many years, but then never did. And then finally just published their final rule. But it's kind of like mute to us now because we did that. That was like so yesterday.
It's nice to be thinking that when the government catches up, you're like, we did that already. Nothing to change. Old hat.
It is. It's reassuring. But yes, we did that. So those are just some examples of how we tend to be ahead of the curve. It really is based on just following your own internal compass of what you believe is the right kind of technology to deploy, regardless of being told what to do.
And for people most people put a priority on safety, but especially people, I think when you have kids, then it becomes super, super your priority. You'll take risks with yourself that you'll never take with your children. What do you hope families take away from seeing this giant list of top Safety Pick Plus awards for Mazda?
I hope parents really get that clarity that there is a new leader in safety, that safety is not something that is always standard. You have to do your research when it comes to buying consumer products, whether that's a dishwasher or a sofa or whatever. Consumer products are not created equal, right? We all know that from the things that we purchase that are in our daily lives. And that's true with cars. I think that a lot of people are surprised to know that these crash avoidance technologies are unregulated, that blind spot monitoring is not required, and that they have to do their research to help protect their families and really have a wonderful drive and not one that involves an accident, right, in their vehicle with their children. It is not, all products are not equal, and Mazda is the new standard in safety. There may be some of those other brands out there that have been synonymous with safety for years and years because they did some great marketing back in the 80s or 90s and it stuck. But those that do their research now can see very clearly that Mazda is the safest new car brand in America.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Jennifer. This was perfect.
Awesome. Fun to talk about. Thanks for posting my skids. I don't know.
Okay. Okay. Name and title, so I have it officially.
Yes. I'm Rob Whitley, Whitley. And
thank you for that.
Yes. I have learned. And I'm the Air and Gravity Product and Pricing Manager.
Product and Pricing Manager. So
yes.
Talk a little bit about, you guys just won the World Car Award for the Gravity.
Yes.
How excited are you?
Super excited, and thank you again for that. We can add it to our list. Behind the vehicles here, we have many, so we'll add it to our very esteemed list.
You have to redo that whole sign now before the auto show
opens.
opens.
Do it. So, okay,
or just put a sticker on there with one more little...
Exactly. Or the actual award itself.
We need a little podium to put it in front of there.
Nick Twerk was actually saying he thought about ordering another display case at HQ because we've run out of room. So
I mean,
Yeah,
that's
a nice
the
thing.
kind of problem
Yeah.
that you want. We have run out of
Exactly.
room for
Yes.
our trophies.
Yes, so he has some at his desk, and he needs to clear his desk of those soon.
That's awesome. I love
So
it.
very happy for that, and for Air, we won for Gravity obviously this morning, but
Right.
for Air, we were at one time the most awarded new luxury vehicle in America.
Really?
And the number of awards that we have is just immense. And now we still are the most awarded in our segments over the past 3 years.
Why do you think that is?
It's the work of our engineering and design teams, and how they were able to optimize so much to enable cars that have all the superlatives that they have. It makes my job easier. So we have the longest range, fastest charging, and in many cases the most spacious vehicles in their segment. So we're in the entire industry. So it's that coupled with the performance, the driving aspect, and it makes the feel. It's something that those of you like the jurors and the journalists see, immediately upon driving vehicle, and it's something we're all we just couldn't get more proud of. So, like you said, on to our third product.
The next
Exciting.
one.
So,
Have you said anything about the third product? I'm not trying to fool
yes,
you. What
no,
have you
we
said about
we
this?
we have provided the name. So
You did?
We'll have Earth as the
Earth.
Cosmos for the third.
Okay. Have you said what they are yet? Do we
Yes,
know what?
yeah.
Okay.
Crossovers. So
Crossovers.
they're going to be mid-size crossovers, and we've announced that starting price will be under $50,000.
So that's a big thing. So I actually love the first Lucid I drove was the Air, and I remember driving it and thinking it was amazing. I was like, wow, this is incredible. It was super impressive. It was just beautiful and drives beautifully, and the styling. But crossovers are kind of where it's at right now, right? So you're getting it, and the lower price. What's the decision behind taking the price a little lower for what is very much a luxury brand at this point?
So it remains a luxury brand. We're conscious to not, go to mainstream. So brand is luxury, and but the electric is secondary. So we're a luxury car brand, and we make the best cars that happen to be electric. So we obviously conquest very many customers from our main EV competitor. But what we're seeing, especially Gravity, is a huge influx of ICE, three-row SUV competition.
So do you know how many? Like, what's your percentage of ICE people coming in versus other EV people coming in?
So the number one trade-in for Air is Tesla Model S. So that is by twice the amount of number two.
Wow.
So we are getting a lot of, and I think some of that's due to the recent cancellation, which was announced of Model S and X.
Yeah.
But, we do see, percentage-wise, I have to follow up with you on that.
That's okay.
But we do see a lot of ICE, like BMW 5 Series, Mercedes A-Class going into Air. And similarly with Gravity, and the data is still, there's a lag of that data that we reference of a few months, but we do have a few months of data to go on, and we're seeing that those Mercedes GLS customers, BMW X7 customers are coming into Gravity. So that's something we're very happy about.
So you're pulling from a lot of those are true luxury brands that are established,
Exactly.
and they're saying your first. Do you know if they're first EV buyers? Like the first?
Yes. So many are, and I have that stat.
Oh, that's okay.
I
I don't expect you to have every number. I shouldn't put you on the spot.
No, we are seeing more Gravity buyers choosing Gravity as their first EV than we've seen with Air. And I think that's partially because of early adopters. They are more focused on EV to begin with. They're early adopters of Tesla's Model S, and they're flying into Air. But Gravity is actually really pulling from those three-row luxury SUVs at a greater rate than we've seen with Air, which is exactly what we want, because that's the broader market. So, of course, even though Tesla sells many Model X vehicles, the bulk of that segment are still ICE vehicles.
Okay.
Yeah.
So for the crossovers, SUVs that are coming, who's your target for that? Who do you think is going to want that one?
So that is the buyer who wants really a vehicle that can do everything. So, we'll maintain our DNA of performance, driving, great handling dynamics, but, someone that is a bit more pragmatic. They want that efficiency. Efficiency is key. One thing that we can state is that, Air is the most efficient vehicle sold today, is rated by the EPA. Air specifically. It has a miles per kilowatt hour rating of 5, which is unprecedented despite the size of the car, the performance capability. It's not a super lightweight two-seater that's the most efficient sold in America. It's actually Air Pure. And Gravity is the most efficient SUV. So what you'll see is a distillation of that DNA, that product DNA, into midsize. Midsize is poised to be an efficiency leader as well. But again, those key attributes of high range, fast charging, and great performance dynamics are going to be key to that vehicle as well. And like I mentioned, we have our third and fourth vehicles that we've announced the names of. What you'll see is that one is a bit more on-road focused for that traditional buyer of Tesla Model Y, for example, and then the fourth will be a little bit have a bit more of a rugged aesthetic, because that is a popular trend. Customers like that sort of go off the beaten path sort of things.
Everyone's doing that. That's the thing to do. Now, have you said how quickly those are coming? Do we have ETAs on those yet?
We will reveal later this year.
Later this year? Okay.
And startup sales, I don't believe we've ever communicated
That's
that,
okay.
but reveal later this year.
So reveal. So it's coming.
Yes.
So how much of a challenge is it bringing out new EVs right now? Because two reasons. One, there's more and more competition. There's more and more EVs out there. And also, people are a little bit soft on EVs. So, there's a lot. How are you prepped to handle that?
Well, on the first point, it is very true. As you know, more than anyone, many makers are producing more EVs now, more EV models. Yet, our number one competitor has announced cancellation of Model S and Model X. So that's a huge opportunity for us.
Yeah.
And we've seen quite an influx of orders and interest based on that.
Really?
So, that will continue to help Air and Gravity. And, in terms of the EV winter that some are mentioning, early adopters did largely buy their EVs, already a few years ago. But what remains is that steady increase in EV market penetration through 2035. So by 2035, the expectation is that EVs will comprise 3.5 times the mix as they do right now versus ICE. So it's not, a steady state or even a decline in market penetration. And that's the third-party data source, which, is showing that compound annual growth rate will get us to about 3.5 times the market share of EVs in the next 10 or so years.
Okay.
So that's going to be huge for us. We're here to capitalize on that, especially with our expanding portfolio.
Yeah.
And in terms of current events, what's helping us too, and you sign up for our emails, you may have seen it. I of course, get all of our emails, see them at a time, but, and all the competitor emails. And, you may have seen this, but based on current fuel prices, there are immense savings with our products. Again, because they're EVs, but also because they're the most efficient EVs, either in the industry or in their segment as it relates to Gravity. So Gravity versus its main ICE competitor, a buyer could save about $10,000 in fuel and energy costs over 5 years. So that is huge.
So
and
significant.
Yes, and strictly going by government data, you can save about $6,000 over 5 years at current fuel prices. So at fuel prices, what they were 6 months ago, that's a bit lower, probably about $4,000. But with what they are now, well over $5-6 a gallon in California, the savings are huge. And even for customers that can afford a Mercedes GLS or BMW X7, when you have the opportunity to have a car which performs better, has more space, is more fun to drive, and saves you $10,000 over 5 years, that's hard to
I think everybody would take $10,000 in their pocket, regardless of what your income is, right?
Right, exactly. Yes. So we see a lot of opportunity for all those reasons.
So for someone looking for an EV right now, first EV, never had one, what should make them look at Lucid?
I immediately go to my first Air that I leased, and I just loved the convenience. My sister is looking into a Lucid. Her main reason is she does not want to touch a gas pump. Doesn't want to have to go pump up her gas late at night. And I charged at home only. I never had to wait in line. I had the convenience of even a 2-prong 120-volt outlet. That's all I used. I never got a home charger installed. And Air.
Wait, you never had a home charger installed?
I only charged at home because with Air, you can add 100 miles a day just on a regular 120 volt.
Wow.
So it was, and most people don't realize that. They think, I'm going to have to spend $2,000 for a home charger.
Yeah.
But you don't. So the convenience is amazing. Of course, on road trips, I drove from Tampa to Raleigh. I only had to stop once with an Air, which is pretty amazing.
Not bad.
600 miles. But so I did public charge sometimes, never had issues, but, I just love the convenience. But in terms of coming to the brand also, that's anecdotal. I love the convenience, but I also love the power. There's, like you said, when you first drove an Air, there's nothing like the power of that, and just the seamlessness, the cohesive feeling of everything, and the design. It's a timeless, very elegant design, something that's not, brash and in your face, with that, a hood line that comes up to your waist. So, it will age well. The design team did a tremendous job with that, and that's what we're saying. Number one purchase reason for Air is often exterior styling. So
it's a beautiful car.
It goes back and forth a bit between exterior styling and the sort of technical innovations reason. But ultimately, come to the brand for all of the vehicle offers. I mean, you have a supercar and an SUV form that can seat 7 people, and you can fit a refrigerator in the back with the 2.
Wait, did somebody do that?
Yes,
we've
actually tested that.
Some poor guy had to put a fridge back there.
So when you fold second and third row seats in Gravity, you can fit a refrigerator, yet the Gravity Grand Touring still does 0 to 60 in 3.4 seconds. It's all-wheel drive, great, and great off the beaten path, and great in foul weather. And ultimately the convenience too, because if you're on that road trip, with all of your stuff, you can add 200 miles of range in only 11 minutes, which you retain. So it's the fastest. I covered Air prior to Gravity, Air only, and I'm so used to saying Air is the fastest charging vehicle sold. And it's not anymore because Gravity beats it. So Gravity has a max charge rate of 400. At least you beat yourself.
It's not somebody else that came and beat you guys. So.
I'd say Air is faster charging for among all vehicles except for the Gravity now. So,
excellent. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you. I enjoyed speaking with you.
That's perfect. Thank you so much.
Do we need to follow up with any stats? I know I didn't have.
You don't have. If you have it, cool.
Yes.
But if you don't, that's fine. Oops.